I mean, if I said and action, would that be too cheesy?
Nice.
I'm Dan Wilson, one of the teachers at Shillington, and Ed has joined me today for a chat. Ed, do you
Hello.
want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ed. I finished the Shillington online 3 month full-time graphic design course at the end of last year, which was only 3 months ago now. Yeah, that's
And,
me.
and you obviously had an amazing life event at the end of those 3 months as well, didn't you?
Yes, I went to Australia to celebrate finishing the course and had my first Christmas in Australia as well, which was an experience. Very odd for it to be so hot instead of cold and rainy rather than snowy, really. But yeah, it was lovely.
So I imagine you're there pining for the cold and the grey skies, and then you got back in February and you were definitely got your wish in the UK then, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was great to be back to what I'm used to.
So amazing. So obviously you did the course 3 months. I mean, obviously you can talk through some of your experience on that. You took a bit of time out to then, decompress, go to Australia, this amazing trip. And then what's your journey looked like since getting back from Australia then?
Yeah, so since I got back, I sort of did a final few tweaks to just get like my CV ready and those sorts of things and update all of that sort of stuff. And then really started applying to jobs in earnest at the beginning of February, which I just, wasn't sure how it was going to go. I've had job searches in the past that have been a bit not that exciting, I guess, but I've found this a lot more inspiring and exciting than I was worried it might have been, because there just have been a lot of jobs that I've found that not only I felt like I had the skills ready to apply to, but also that I thought I would find interesting as well, and that I was actually genuinely excited about, which was really nice. And then on top of that, I've even had a couple of people reach out to me from finding my portfolio on the Shillington website, which has been such a boost to my confidence. Just, yeah, almost can't really believe that is a possibility, but that was very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible to hear. That's amazing. So yeah, so but you're in that position now of kind of looking out there, looking for work. And we know, from past experiences, like whatever industry we're working in, you know, that can potentially be not a great position to be in, right? And it can be, you've got to be quite resilient in that job search. But obviously now you're kind of focused on that graphic design route and you're seeing things that are what one interesting to you, right? Which is a massive help. And that was great to hear as well, talking about like aligning to your skill sets and you feel like you have those skills. And again, just that the idea of people, seeing your showcase, seeing your website, which looks great, by the way. You're talking me through some of the updates to that. The website looks great. Everybody should look at it. edrowbottom.com. Check it out. But you talked about confidence. And I think a major part of this is confidence, I think, isn't it? Just not only being at Shillington, but just being a designer and putting yourself out there relies a lot on confidence, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think even before I started the Shillington course, I had been lucky enough to have some sort of professional design experience. Not that I ever had a design job, but just that some jobs I had, like in marketing or something, had a bit of a responsibility that I used some design for. And I knew that I wanted to go into design. So knowing that I had that experience, I'd sort of been looking at design jobs that whole time, but never really, never having the confidence, because I didn't really feel like I was a designer, I guess, is an easy way of putting it. And so comparing looking for jobs now to before I did the course, it feels completely different, because I think I do understand all the things that these jobs are asking for completely differently. And I think on top of that, just having that portfolio ready made, having had so many eyes on it as well, in the sense of obviously having a portfolio supervisor, but then equally all this cohort of students that you can talk to about it as well. I think I'm so much more confident in that than I ever could have been with a portfolio that I just built on my own time. So that's been extremely helpful. And I think that confidence is where I would normally fall down and really struggle and not find a way to put myself out there. So I think it's just been completely different because I did the Shillington course, and that has really helped me have that confidence in myself and my work.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think the key thing that hit me there is like you talk about that community of other designers that you've kind of worked with that have been on that journey with you. You know, it's not just about the people who are kind of teaching, essentially. You know, it's about the people you meet and the people who are in the same boat. And like, you know, sometimes if you're kind of just like working in isolation or trying to learn by yourself, you feel like the only person experiencing these things. You feel like the only person who gets imposter syndrome or the only person who can't make this thing work in InDesign. But then you soon realize, you know, when you have this community of people to reach out to, and it's so it can be something as simple as like just sending a WhatsApp to someone, right? And then just being like, oh yeah, I know how to fix this. Yeah, that's annoying. It's just that like validation and just not feeling so alone in it, right?
Yeah, definitely. For me, a big thing has been sort of like, I mean, having more confidence in my work is one thing, but then somebody asking me what my hourly rate or my daily rate is or something, and I have no idea, and I start panicking again, and I'm like, I don't know what the right thing to do is. So just being able to ask everybody, even after we finish the course, like whether they've done any freelance work and what they've charged people is, yeah, very
That's
supportive and helpful.
yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I think you've just volunteered yourself there. So if anybody has a question around that, like that's you. But that's the thing as well. It's like the amount, like things like that. It's like people just need to be more transparent in the industry, and it kind of helps me. It helps like us as designers know our sense of self worth. It helps, you know, holds clients as well accountable. Like, you know, don't try and lowball people or, you know,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it has been helpful to talk to people and like also, ask sort of, is it standard to get half pay for a job up front rather than just waiting till the end, and like, because that obviously protects you a lot as a designer. And I'm sure there may well be people out there trying to pull one over new designers and who might not know that. So then being able to ask people about that and then have the confidence to actually assert yourself with that
yeah,
is really important, I think.
100. I mean, and this is amazing. These are such great topics to just have a catch up about. Obviously, you know, we worked together when you were on the course, but I've not seen you for a while. Great to catch up about your trip to Australia. We're talking about the community you built, how we can make the industry as a whole better. That's amazing. And obviously, we talked about your confidence. And I think what would be amazing if we could look at one of your projects and
Yeah.
just think about how that helps kind of gain that confidence. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Are you going to share?
I
Yeah.
certainly am. Look at that website. Looking great. Looking fantastic. So I think, yeah, I think Snapshot. Should we take a look at Snapshot?
Yeah. I think even, oh, obviously, I guess I should say it's a rebrand of Snappy Snaps, which is a like photography shop in the UK, which I think is probably the only brand on the high street in the UK where you can get film developed. And then I take a lot of film photography, so I know Snappy Snaps intimately, I guess. And I've just always not been that inspired by their branding. So it was quite exciting, the idea to rebrand them, which I think even before, because actually, well, one thing that's really nice about this project is that I've used all my own photography for the brand, and that comes up in these posters. But that, as an idea, only came fairly late in portfolio time, actually. And I was sort of trying to use stock photography before then. But even before I'd had the idea of using my own photography, just that idea, yeah, of rebranding something that I knew intimately as a customer really changed the way I thought about it, I think. Because I remember thinking to myself, or maybe even trying to have conversations with people and say, like, one project I'm doing on my course is rebranding Snappy Snaps. And everybody knows Snappy Snaps, I think, in the UK, because currently they have this really eye-catching yellow on all their shops, and they're called Snappy Snaps, which like everybody remembers. And I think you probably could say for that, those are two things that the branding is doing for Snappy Snaps that a lot of branding maybe falls short of. Like, I don't think everybody remembers every brand that's on the high street. So you could argue that Snappy Snaps is better than the average, maybe, in terms of branding. But that was maybe a bit of a realization for me of like, branding is not just about memorability, or like, is that a word, memorability?
I mean, it is now.
But I just had this thought that better branding would make it a nicer experience to go to Snappy Snaps as well. And I think I hadn't really realized that branding can have that much power and that much importance, really. And then, you know, when it's nicer to go to a shop because of its branding, I think then it's also more likely to build a community around it as well, which of course helps the brand have loyal customers, or, you know, whatever it is like that. So it definitely taught me a lot about the power of graphic design, I think, in general.
Yeah, 100%. And I think within that, you know, with you've touched upon there, like this idea of brand recognition, and you know, you can see this, but it's like exactly what you're talking about there. Like, what does the brand feel like? How do you create that community? How do you like want to kind of just really kind of live with a brand? And you know, obviously you are somebody who, you know, has an interest in photography, goes into Snappy Snaps, engages with it, and you know, there was a reason that you as a person who's involved and you've been in their stores, you've kind of ordered products online, whatever it is, you know, and there was something missing. And I think it was like it comes in that your amazing line you've got there about remember the moment. You know, if you look at the, you know, the previous branding, the existing branding, it's about photo and digital specialists. That's very technical. But what you wanted to tap in was that very like human, analog, and kind of magical moments of photography, right? And
Yeah.
then, yeah, and I think just the fact that we had this project and where you could bring in your own personal interests and your own work, your own interests, and your own passions. Like, how did that impact your confidence as a designer?
Yeah. Well, it definitely helped a lot. I think I'm definitely the sort of person who is always doubting myself and my work and feeling like I'm not a real designer, and struggle to really stand behind what I've done, even though maybe while I'm doing it, I'm really enjoying the work that I'm coming up with. I still have those thoughts in my head that make me doubt myself. And I think it's just been such an advantage with this project to have those pictures that I took myself in the project. I think that really helps me counteract those thoughts in my mind, because I can really own every aspect of it. I think maybe on a very simplistic level, just if I were talking through this project in an interview, it would be really nice that suddenly I have loads of pictures of all my friends looking at me, and that will obviously help calm me down. And then also not just my friends looking at me, but some fun memories as well. So that's will be really good. But I think it just would probably also reassure me about how passionate I am about the project as well. It's very reaffirming for that sort of thing to know that this project obviously so closely aligns with my passions that I don't need to go to anybody else to help complete it. I've got all the resources that I need. And I think hopefully that's what interviewers are looking for in interviews, is how passionate you are about what you're doing. I think it's a really important thing to be able to get across. So I feel really good about that project, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a great project. And it's like exactly what you were talking about there, this idea of just being able to talk confidently about your work and kind of just be engaged. And, you know, every decision that you made on that project, you know why you made that decision. Like, you know why you've chosen those colors. You know why you've chosen that font. You know why you've chosen that particular image. You've created that tone of voice about how the brand speaks. And it's like, it's that level of kind of getting in the weeds with the project and really kind of doing the research and trying things out, that kind of means that when you present this you know, you can present this project to potential clients, job interviews. You might do some guest lectures somewhere, whatever it may be. And like, that's the thing. It's like, I think the fact that you're in this position where you feel so confident with the project, you could talk about it anywhere. It's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as opposed to just having made decisions in a project because that's what I think interviewers are looking for, just is a bit of a rockier foundation. And that would be a bit worrying to talk about in an interview. But instead, when you're just doing it because that's what you're passionate about, then you're always going to find something to talk about. It's always going to be easy.
Yeah. Can I ask a question then? That might be a bit of a tricky one or a curveball.
Okay.
Obviously, so this was one project of the 4 amazing projects that you had in your portfolio. This is something where you got to lean into like something that you're passionate about and bring your own interest to. What was your kind of process if the project didn't allow that? If it's like, okay, so I'm going to design a project, a branding project for something, and it's a world I know nothing about. How did you approach that? Your kind of tips for kind of approaching a project like that?
Yeah. Well, I think I always, at the very worst, was just excited by the design for design's sake. So that was always a passion that I found helpful when looking for motivation or just like trying to find a direction to go in. It's just what really excited me. I remember for Crew in particular, which is one of my projects, which was about leather alternatives, so like vegan leather. What helped a lot with that was really looking at the existing competition, finding how uninspiring that was, and then thinking to myself, okay, how do I make this brand inspiring instead, or like as opposed to those other brands? So that really helped. And I think that in combination with just being quite excited with the design aesthetic, yeah, helped a lot. And I feel it feels quite personal, and I feel quite proud of this as well because it's so different to what I found out there, which was really helpful. So that was definitely a good approach for me on that one.
Amazing. And that's the thing. It's like approaching a project with an open mind and kind of delving into the research and kind of just being open to those avenues that you can explore. And, even something like that, where you're like looking at the competitors and you're like, everything that's out there is kind of bland and kind of looks the same. Let me do something that feels like a counterpoint to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it worked really well. It's so funny. It's so funny that we've kind of talked a lot about confidence. Is when you look at that Crew project that we just showed, that it comes across as so confident, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Which is amazing. That's incredible. So it feels like, we've had this through line that we've talked about, like being at Shillington, being part of the studio, building that community has helped build your confidence and everything like that. I definitely sometimes have moments where I still get imposter syndrome. I feel like I'm not too confident in every aspect of design, right? You can't know everything.
Yeah.
How do you kind of how have you or how do you plan to kind of continue building kind of post Shillington and kind of
Yeah. Well, my favorite mantra when I am having those moments of imposter syndrome is that I don't think anybody who is really good at what they do would ever get to be really good at what they do if they didn't doubt themselves. So it's really only because or I'll speak for myself, I guess. It's only because I get so emotionally worked up about things and designs and whether I'm doing well or not that then the end result is better than it would have been if I was just like happy with whatever I turned out. So I think that's helped me maybe use the word bear the imposter syndrome and like keep moving forward and not let it overwhelm me and know that it's just part of the process and that it's really not very nice. But I think, yeah, with that thought in mind that maybe it's making me better,
yeah
I can keep going.
yeah turning it into like almost like fuel.
Yeah.
Like how do I'm feeling this, but I'm just going to ride the wave and I'm just going to keep churning out work and trying ideas. That's amazing. Yeah, like thank you for talking us through a couple of your projects there and your kind of journey. I think for me as well, just kind of hearing how that community of that you met on the course is still kind of going strong.
Yeah.
Uh, I hope that keeps going.
Yeah, me too. We've got those of us who are in London met up after I've got back from Australia as well, which has been really nice. And then just, yeah, like I was saying, very supportive whenever you've got a design question or just, not that related to design, but about how much to charge or those sorts of things. So that feels really good. And yeah, like you say, then when you're applying to jobs, it feels a lot less like you alone against the industry, but it helps you realize that actually there are lots of people in your situation and we're all trying our best and there's nothing to fear.
That's beautiful. We're all trying our best. What else can we ask for? I think that's the perfect place to end. We're all trying our best. That's it. That's beautiful. Amazing. Thanks, Ed. I really appreciate it.
That's okay.